Welcome back to a special episode of Detections Podcast with all three of your hosts, XL Detrades,
Understudy 77, and
BSD Bandit. Ow!
Yep.
You have to let him go last, because if you don't, I can't follow that. Like, it just doesn't work.
Absolutely. So what makes it special? Why are we special today?
So I realized something today, and it's actually LinkedIn's fault. This isn't perfect, but it's close. Mm-hmm. October 16th of 2019 was our first ever episode. And now we're coming into the 22nd, and we're about to air. Like, actually, technically, last week was past our 1 year, but fuck it. Like, this is the first all host episode, so we're doing it now.
Because
and like LinkedIn, we set up on the 22nd, and I got an email this morning that said, LinkedIn, congratulations, Detections, you're 1 year old.
Look at that.
So we're 1 year old.
Yeah. So look at that. We've been on it from the beginning. It took us about a week to set up a LinkedIn after we published an episode.
Right? Yeah, we're 1 year old as of like the October 16th.
Aww.
Which is dope.
Super dope.
Dude, it's dope, but it's also like surreal at the same time for me. Like thinking back to like where we started, where we're at now. The fact that people still listen to us like blows my mind.
So I mean, let's talk about that for a second. Like let's just, and I don't know that we've ever really done this on the show, but this is kind of amusing. In the last year, does anybody want to take a guess at how many listens or downloads we've had? Somebody's phone's ringing.
I would say at least 500.
Yeah, so I appreciate the literal dozens of people who have downloaded this show way more than one time. Because the actual number is XL. Do you want to take a guess?
Yeah, hold on. Now that we have my phone in addition to my fire alarm while we're recording, I will as soon as it's done.
So
it's probably okay. It's done. It's probably governmental calls because it's voting time.
Yeah. Did you know that your IRS is under attack and you're going to be sued?
And I also
something like that at the coffee shop.
and I think there's some stuff too about the Proud Boys having access to my information through voter registration, and if I don't, that was a Florida thing.
So what's your guess? How many times do you think our dozens of listeners have downloaded episodes?
So we're looking total number over
total
a year.
Number. BSD's way low.
Total number over a year. Yeah. Somewhere around 25,000.
XL's pretty close.
Oh,
28,041.
Wow.
So I want to say to all of the people, 28,000 downloads in a year. Thank you all so much. That's incredible.
It is.
Like genuinely incredible.
That averages out to, what is it? About 500 a week.
And that's about where we sit most of the time.
Yeah.
A large portion from North America, obviously, but not only 69%. Mm-hmm. 20% from Europe. Thank all of you. 3% from Asia. And then we've also got Oceania at 4%, Africa and South America. So
awesome.
We're worldwide.
The thing that still kind of impresses me too is the percentage of people that listen from like Sweden or Germany also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is a pretty significant portion for like the time difference and the community disconnection and stuff like that.
Yeah, in general, all that I'm getting at is y'all are amazing and we appreciate you all so much.
Yes.
Because I don't know that any of us expected this going into it, right? Like, I really don't think any of us expected this.
No.
And that's super cool.
I think we talked about it from the beginning that definitely wasn't the expectancy at all. Like we were happy if 20 people listened the entire time.
Yeah, and I mean that's over. I think we did 40 episodes in the last year.
Yeah,
and we've changed the format a bunch, and we've done a bunch of stuff. Although tonight is going to be a lot more rambly than our normal new format because we have other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we're trying to add some extra fun into it because it is the 1 year anniversary. So we decided instead of going down the super technical way, we're going to try to involve our listeners in the community more in this episode.
But we'll get to that later. First, a little self-reflection. And BSD, you're going to go last on this just because you're the newest and because I want to set something up for you. Exiled, I want you to go first here. Favorite moments, man. Like let's just go down. Like memorable guest moments that we've had. What does that look like?
Well, the first two for me are tied in with how the podcast itself got started. So because it was
admittedly crazy, by the way.
Exactly. Like literally it was SmokerCon at DerbyCon and then random running into each other over the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, I can't believe we haven't killed each other yet because we didn't know each other when we started this podcast.
Nope. And we're both like very assertive style personalities. So
and very different at the same time.
Exactly. So the first two moments and the first two guests are Ray Redacted and Jeff Man. Jeff because Grandpa Jeff, Papa Jeff, Big Man Jeff, he was like that what was it, that 4-hour conversation we had?
Oh yeah. I love
just the three of us like at the table. Some people would come and join the conversation, some people would leave. I'd say like we had the conversation before, but it was that 4-hour conversation that really kind of cemented in the connection. And then when Jeff came on as a guest, it was just like, geez, like we have someone who's recognized as very recognizable name.
Oh yeah, he's in books and shit. Like nobody asked us to do
that. And he saw something in us to continue that conversation and to come on the show. So that's huge for me. And Ray as the second one, because a similar thing happened between Ray and I of that weekend where we just would randomly be in like the same conversational group, like just crossing paths, but then we both spoke at a different conference later the same week in DC. And then him and I got together after the conference was over at the bar, doing what traveling InfoSec people do, drink and eat food and bullshit throughout the night. And then having him back on after he's done his Tribe of Hackers podcast, where we got interviewed for the first time halfway through.
Right? Dude, Ray was a fun episode.
Good. And I miss it. Like, I want to talk to Ray again. Like, even if we can just get him back on for like a sub episode.
Yeah, Ray was so much fun.
Both of those are very memorable. And I think the third one for me really is when we had Jennifer and Katrina on.
That was a cool episode. It was different.
It was different, and it was the first one where we had our listeners become involved in the conversation. And
yeah,
I don't know, because on the episode we pitched them a lot for getting a job, and I haven't heard anything yet, so we're gonna have to reach out to them and find out.
No, I'm telling you, they both have jobs.
What?
I don't know if I'm totally not taking credit for it, but I just saw that Kat posted today that she got her first job. And I knew that Jennifer did as well. So like both of them are employed now, which is awesome.
That's we got to clap that up.
We take zero credit for that, and we apologize for slowing down their job journey.
Exactly. But even that, like that just makes that even more memorable for me, right? Like they came on, they talked about it, and now they're taking that first step into the career goals and career dreams that they've had. Like for me, that is huge.
Oh yeah. Now see, I think if I got to talk three, I want to say the first one is the most still probably the most controversial episode to date we've ever run, and that was Andrew Thompson.
Hell yeah.
Still also the most listened to episode we've ever run.
Probably because it's one of the most controversial.
Exactly. We should do more controversy, but that's not really on brand with us. But like giving Andrew a chance to talk and like to speak, to humanize himself, and really being able to talk about what I think is a genuinely really important issue. Man, it really meant a lot to me. I mean, and that's not to say like, and as we go through this, I'm going to say this now because otherwise Blind is going to give me shit. His episode was great because he was our first guest and that was awesome. But like Andrew Thompson's episode, like, I don't know, man, it was like early on, like it was a show of the potential in a weird way that we could pull somebody who was interesting and had a really good topic to talk about, and they wanted to talk to us about it, right?
And you can look through the history of cybersecurity, information security, and that topic gets repeated a lot.
Oh yeah.
So it's like that episode, even though it's an older episode, will maintain its relevance for a long time into the future.
Yep. And then second, has to be my opportunity to interview one of my personal heroes, being Chris Sanders, who has been an individual I've been following forever, and I just adore. I love most of the work that he does. And then he called me a peer, and I lost it. I was like, oh my God, Chris Sanders thinks I'm a peer.
Now you're really making me have some FOMO.
I know.
Despite being drunk in Mexico on vacation at a friend's wedding. Okay, never mind.
No, personally, I'd take the conversation with Chris Sanders, but that's just me.
Well, these people I'm very close to, so even though that was a career thing that I would have loved to have been part in, like I would never trade the experience of being one of less than 20 people at the wedding for people that I consider family.
Oh, 100%. And then the third one has to be Recon Infosec, for a bunch of reasons. One, because of the relationship that I've built with them since, like Eric and Whitney have become very, very close friends of mine since we had them on the show, right? Like we had talked and we had known each other prior, and then like we talked a lot more after that, and that was amazing. And that was also like their detections were awesome. Like talking to them was incredible. What they're doing with OpenSoc is incredible. But even more, like they were the first guest that was like, hey, we're going to do an exclusive just for your listeners. And that was like such a cool moment, right? Like it was so genuinely exciting to be like, oh my God, like the people who listen to this get like first dibs on something. That's so cool.
That was like the first time that I felt like, is this a taste of what people talk about arriving feels like?
Right. And I mean, I wouldn't say that we've arrived, but you know, I don't know that I'll ever feel that way. Like, But that feeling that it has grown into something else at that point. Exactly. And like that was so cool. And we're actually going to hear from Eric hopefully later tonight in kind of a new way. So we're going to play with that. And then the one other thing that I want to talk about, and cuz I think this is really worth talking about and one of the memorable things. The first time we had BSD come on as a guest. And knowing that he's a full host, and my goal right now is to get him to cry on the podcast. That was, without a doubt, the most fun episode we ever fucking recorded. We could not stop laughing, all of us together the whole time. And it just made it so obvious that like we were missing something, and it was BSD Bandit.
Yep.
And like, go ahead.
I was just going to say that was the moment when it was like, okay, we've been friends, but now we've gone over into that found family moment.
You can't mute yourself. We need to hear your tears.
Oh man!
But like, that was a moment, man. Like that was, and like it became such an easy conversation when we were like, let's expand the cast. It was like BSD. It's got to be BSD. There's no way it's not BSD. We've never laughed with anybody like that before.
There was no question. It was like the moment it came up. Yep, that's 100% in place. Feels right. No question. No further discussion. It's happening.
Oh my goodness. I'm like truly like I said before, I am truly like honored that you guys like asked to have me on the show. I've been a fan when I first started listening to you guys when Blind came on. I was like, oh, like this is cool stuff. This is badass. I really enjoyed it. And then of course when you guys did the Ghost Recon episode, I think it was talking about like OpenSoc.
That was the Recon Infosec one, yeah, that I talked about.
When I say hardcore, like here's the thing, and I really see, man, y'all making me a little emotional.
That was my goal.
So I looked at it from a standpoint like, oh my God, like I'm a huge fan, and it's just like you guys embracing me and allowing me to come on the show is just like, it means so much to me, man. And I truly appreciate it
You have done nothing but make us all better, man. And I mean, you do that for thousands of people every day, right? But like to get a chance to every week talk to you, like, man, I'm privileged for that. Like, I'm privileged to have you as a friend. I love it.
Well, I love y'all. See, y'all making me emotional. What the hell? Yes.
Dun dun.
Dun dun. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, dude. I mean, all of you mean the world to me. And like, it's a big thank you to the both of you as well. Like, you know, this has been a fun journey and it's been crazy and it's been mostly like unknown because like I said, Exiled and I didn't fucking know each other. BSD, we just kind of decided one day, like, let's have a new guest or let's have a new host. Let's just kind of like wing it and change the format and fuck it because we can.
And that just kind of goes to prove the whole like generally more assertive, dominant personalities because you're just like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, so like,
I'm like, okay.
I was just gonna say real quick about BSD. Like, we've had quite a number of good conversations, like through Discord and voice chats, and both of you really feels like being an older brother with only one younger sibling. Like having people that I feel like are that at that sibling level is truly special.
why you got to be giving me shit about being young?
Because you're the baby of the three of us.
Baby.
Hey now. Hey now. I'm also the least competent, okay?
Aw.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, it's been a blast. And honestly, like we can't thank everybody who listens enough. I can't thank all of you enough. Like, you know, there are days when this is hard and days when this is easy, but that's anything like this, right? Especially when there's expectations attached to it. But, you know, it's been such a cool ride. And like, I look forward to our 2-year anniversary. And maybe if I don't realize from a LinkedIn post, we'll actually do something more special.
What?
But admittedly, we did get BSD to like break up a little bit, and like that's pretty special.
Because I am truly passionate about all of it, and when I have an opportunity to like even just chat with you guys, or even if through, like I said, through voice chat, or even if, you know, through typing through Discord, that all means the world to me because I love savoring moments. And this is a moment I'm like soaking up and savoring like as we speak. It's a moment that's captured in my mind forever.
So speaking of moments and new moments, as if we can move away from that love fest for a minute, don't you have some news, Mr. BSD Bandit?
Yes, I do. I got a new job.
What?
Yeah.
Hell to the frick, yeah.
Yeah, the only downside is, I mean, and I talked to him about this. We have to kick him off the show now because he's not doing blue team stuff anymore.
No,
he
ain't gonna be making me more emotional.
He did promise that he was still going to be doing like Blue Sundays and stuff like that, and keeping up on it.
Yes, that will never go away. Of course, it's been a while because of like the transition that I was making that I couldn't really talk about at the time. But now that that's all said and done, I will be working for Red Siege.
Nice, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What are you going to be doing over there? Can you talk about
it? Red teaming and penetration testing with some awesome folks. And shout out to Tim Medine.
Also, can you get me one of their new Hacker IQ shirts? Because that shit's hilarious.
I got to see if that's a thing. Because I saw the tweet.
If it is, please get me one. I would appreciate it greatly.
I will try to ask. Yes.
Or better yet, give me a Red Siege Challenge coin. I don't have one of those yet.
Those things are pretty awesome. I saw the pics of one time. I said,
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, but I'm super excited to be a part of the team. It super awesome group.
I mean, anybody else have anything interesting that kind of happened? So I did. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was in BSD's defense. We now have an inside man on the red team to start getting them to chant "Red is blue."
There you go.
Ooh.
So I did the Virginia school board thing. I don't think we actually talked about that on an episode, did we?
No, you didn't.
Because I wasn't on the last one.
It up. Exactly.
Yeah, so I did that. So it's done. I mean, it's mostly done. Like, there's still some stuff that I probably need to button up. But man, that was a really cool experience. Although I will say that I feel like I spent most of my time like arguing with people with doctorates. But genuinely, and I can't talk about like lesson plans or where we went or anything like that, right? But it was a really, really cool thing, and I got to really contribute, I think, in some ways that I'm really passionate about from like an intro to cybersecurity perspective that will be across the entire Virginia school system, which was
that's legit.
Such a cool opportunity. And then our friend Cheerio, when I tweeted about it, is like trying to get everybody else in InfoSec to go do this in their own state, which is also really cool. And she said, follow my example. People at home, please never follow my example. In this case, like you can absolutely go do this, and I recommend that you do. 1, it's fulfilling. 2, it's cool. 3, you can help shape education for an entire generation. But please trust me, don't follow my example. You don't want to do that. But like,
maybe you do.
No, you don't. It was just a super cool experience though. And like, I think there's another one coming up, so I might do another class. But like, I would encourage any of you, if you have the opportunity to get involved in K through 12 education, like you should really consider, helping to shape security education for K through 12, because as the people in the field, as the people who hire, as the experts, like, and not just the like college professors, right? And that's no knock to college professors, other than that because of my wife's college experience, I have a lot of issues with professors right now. But I'm not going to dive into that. Honestly, like, take your experience and share it and help shape the education for people for literally an entire generation. Like it's just such a cool way to give back. And will probably go down as one of my favorite personal achievements. Speaking of K through 12 education, if we can get into the news.
Yeah, that's a good transition.
I believe you have something about that.
I do have something as it relates to K to 12. So I found this really interesting article as it relates to education and COVID, right? Now that more schools are having to do this remote education and basically redesign how they're going to deliver education, and how that is now a juicy new right place for attackers and threat actors to go after. So the Wall Street Journal published an article about how hackers have been taking advantage of this, like a school in, where was it? The Newhall School District in Southern California. The school got hit with ransomware, and because of how schools are with their cybersecurity pretty much being non-existent for their staff, IT running short, it shut down 5 days worth of school for 6,000 elementary school students.
You watch, plot twist. It was an elementary school student who did it.
Yeah, which is funny enough.
One of my ongoing themes is we should never underestimate the intelligence of a student, no matter what grade.
Yeah. There's a phrase a friend of mine calls it, is never give a shotgun to a baby unless you want it to be dangerous for unless you want the only person to have fun be the baby. But I was going to say, funny enough, like the next thing that they mentioned in this article is how a Miami high schooler got arrested for doing a denial of service attack on the school's network.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it before, but like I spoke at a middle school and I taught like intro to malware analysis at a middle school, and the kid who ran the after school club, they gave him the club because he was selling VPN access to fellow students.
Yeah, right.
Oh man.
And like they were like, we can either punish him or we can give him a healthy outlet for this, and I'm glad that they chose healthy outlet.
Healthy outlet. Yep. But yeah, like that brings up like that is something that we know historically is due to like budgetary constraints and things like that. It's not prepared to be as open to the internet as the rest of the businesses are. So it's just this easy, juicy target for the more criminally minded people to do stuff.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to pivot into some other screwy hacker stuff, right? Because I think we should probably go reasonably quickly through the news tonight. This one actually spawned a lot of conversation on Twitter, which is why I want to talk about it. So there's some quote unquote Robin Hood hackers donating stolen money. So ransomware actors
are now saying good actors.
Yeah, are now saying they want to make the world a better place. and they posted receipts for $10,000 in Bitcoin donations to the Children's International Children's International, and another one. What's the other charity? Damn.
Wow.
The Water Project. So, like, a whole bunch of people were like, is this acceptable? Is it acceptable to hack companies and then donate money? First off, they probably made way more than $10,000. Secondly, no, it's not fucking acceptable. Thirdly, like, Children's International has already said that they won't keep the money, which is probably the right thing to do in here because it's literally stolen money. It's extorted money. Like, I don't know if this is trying to change the image. Like, I don't know what is going on here. Like, I don't know if it's an attempt to change an image. I don't know that, like, you know, I'm really not sure why. Like, it's just weird for cyber criminal stuff, right?
Yep. And it forces people that may not have had to go through that ethical dilemma to face, like, what do I consider ethically acceptable in a situation like this? Like, if they're targeting known bad companies and they do give, you know, a significant portion of their proceeds to a charitable organization, how do I actually personally feel about that?
Exactly.
So you are saying that criminals can have a conscience. Dun dun.
Well, I'm never suggesting that criminals can't have a conscience. What I am getting at is that I highly doubt these ones do. I don't think they're doing this because they have a conscience. I don't think they're Robin Hood characters. I think they want to either be perceived that way or maybe remove a little bit of guilt. But more, I think they want to make what they're doing okay, and they want to kind of win over the public from that perspective of what they're doing being okay. And that's my guess. Like, I don't think it has anything actually to do with having
It's not really altruistic in motivation.
No, not at all. So, like, but it's really interesting read, and it's a really weird development. Like, genuinely strange. Like, this is throwing a lot of people for a loop because this isn't normal cyber criminal behavior.
Especially coming right on the heels of the decided focus to go after hospitals and medical clinics.
Right? Like, maybe one group did that and another group feels bad. Like, who knows? Like, people are complicated. But at the same time, like, it's still not okay.
Nope.
Like, the Robin Hood story is a great story in and of itself, but, like, it doesn't mean that it applies in this sense. Plus, like, it's a fake story.
Right. It never applied in real life. You leave that adventure for the cartoon. That's
right.
You mean not the remakes like with Russell Crowe or?
Hey, first off, I liked the remake because it had Eggsy from Kingsman.
But no one's gonna ever beat Alan Rickman as the sheriff.
Agreed.
Robin Hood Men in Tights, the best.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No way around. Agreed. The best.
But hold on.
I really like that actor. Like, I like the I can't think of his name. Taron Egerton, I think is his name, who played the new Robin Hood. Like, it wasn't a great movie, but I like him, and that makes it watchable.
Yeah, I haven't seen the newest one yet. The most recent one I saw was the Russell Crowe remake.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen that one. I've only seen the Taron Egerton one. BSD, what did you bring this week? What do you got, man?
Oh, yes. So I'm going to talk about, I brought my fishing pole and a hook, and we're going to talk about Microsoft Teams phishing attack targets for Office 365 users. And I know it seems like week in and week out, we're always talking about phishing campaigns and different
because they work.
They work, and they will continue to work until, whenever.
When the robot overlords have completely wiped out the human race.
They will continue to work because only hackers have 197 IQs. But
the secret's out. So, yes. So apparently the researchers are warning of a phishing campaign that pretends to be an automated message from within Teams in general. So in reality, the attack just aims to steal like Office 365 login credentials. And, you know, I mean, how many companies like use Microsoft Teams? I mean, there's...
And it's growing, right? Like, yes. Microsoft is putting a big push into developing features for Teams. And generally speaking, like, even though some of the stuff is still kind of clunky in its implementation, it's been more reliable than Zoom in my experience.
So,
Agreed.
first off, I hate Microsoft Teams. I've used
Why?
it in a job. I do not like it. I think it's clunky. I think it's complicated. I think it's mostly unnecessary.
It's like this amalgamation of Skype, SharePoint Lite, and
Yes. It's trying to do way
a
too
little
much
bit of
crap,
Slack.
and I
Yeah,
try to
admittedly
do
am not a
Slack and-
fan. But, I mean, it's a clever attack, right? So, you hit somebody with like an O365 login page, password problem or whatever, like those work. But like this is clever too, especially as you talk about integrations, because like if you look at like the picture, it's basically like this person is trying to reach you in Microsoft Teams. And that's genuinely kind of an interesting thing. Now it's a lot of like spray and pray kind of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Here, but it's genuinely, it's a relatively good attack, and they make it look pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, fortunately, from a red teamer's mindset, the spray and pray method usually works.
Oh God, yeah.
So, I mean, it still works. I'd say like at least 85% of the time, the spray and pray method usually works. It's rare that you run into a place that's really on top of their security. Sorry, I just had to say it.
I mean, you're not wrong. But I'd check out the article because it has
Absolutely.
like a picture example. It also has like the URLs typically contain micro SFT teams.
Yes.
So like you got a little bit of detection possibility in there too.
Yes.
With how you can do some DNS twisting to look for this stuff if you are indeed a Teams customer.
Yeah, so before we shoot off to our topic, I think
Well,
you
we
mentioned
have another piece of news.
we do. I was going to say, didn't you say something earlier about Eric?
We do. That's the other piece of news. So we're going to see how this works because we've never done this before, but we have one other piece of news, probably the biggest one for the week. And this is this thing that's coming out called SocX, or the SOC World Championships. Now, Eric from Recon, who's putting this on, was going to come chat with us tonight. And then my ass overslept because I was tired. So I haven't heard back. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try to link up with him because I'm very professional. We're going to try to record a little bit with him because it'll be best coming from his words. And then we're going to snip it in right about here. So with us now, in a completely different time frame, are Eric and Whitney, surprise guest from Recon Infosec, to talk about SocX, which I think is really, really exciting. So first off, in your own words, what is SocX? What is this going to be?
You bet. So SocX is essentially our take at the Security Operations World Championship, and kind of the purpose behind that is we're no kidding. We're trying to make blue team sexy, and we're trying to raise the bar.
That's our hashtag.
Exactly right, but we're trying to bring a little bit of recognition to what's traditionally been a pretty thankless side of InfoSec, right? As many practitioners know, I mean, blue team folks are expected to get it right every time, and no one's thanking you every time that you preemptively stop a threat. They're only criticizing you whenever there's a gap or an incident is missed somehow, right?
Amen to that.
Right. And so so that's a big piece of this is giving these professional SOC teams an opportunity to really shine and get some bragging rights and bring something back to the business to say, hey, look, we're actually good at this, and here's the proof.
So what's it going to look like? Like, break it down. Like, what does this look like for a company or people or whatever?
Yeah, you bet. So we've got a site posted right now called SocX, exactly how it sounds, SocX.io, and it kind of outlines the general structure and format of the competition. It's going to be held in March, and essentially how we've intended folks to participate is to first obviously sign up, and signing up you'd have to then identify up to 5 people from your organization that you would like to compete on behalf of your organization. So as you're hearing me sort of hint around the format of this is targeting professional SOC teams. So a lot of folks may be familiar with us because of OpenSOC, right? We run at DEF CON and B-Sides, and OpenSOC is open to everyone. It's a free, fun, hyper realistic blue team defense competition that we've literally had thousands of people participate in with
So much
just
fun.
yeah, we have so much fun running it, right? And we open it to anyone and everyone, and it's always free. And so the difference between say OpenSOC and SocX is that SocX, while is also free, is now kind of, think of it, this is the Olympics, right? This is the World Championship. This is the All-Stars. And so what we're doing is we're letting those professional teams from, actual organizations send their 5 best people to go head to head with the other best teams from around the world. And so that's kind of the gist of it. And I got to say, I think we really underestimated the turnout so far. The signups we've seen coming in, I mean, are from just all around the world, organizations that would just blow your mind. And it's really humbling to see how many of these teams are racing to grab a spot to come and show off. And we're stoked. I mean, we were already excited about this, but then seeing the community response to it has just like lit a whole new fire. And we're thrilled, man. It's gonna be a great time. And so once folks sign up for it, we'll comb through. There's a little bit of a manual review just to make sure that we are putting together teams from actual organizations. Unfortunately, we're not necessarily allowing, academics or one-off folks because it is meant to be for these professional teams. But then again, there's always OpenSOC, for everyone else that was hoping to participate, maybe is not yet on a professional team. Please do check out opensoc.io because we run really awesome events that are going to be similar in nature. Because SocX also is, for anyone that is familiar with OpenSOC, SocX is going to be basically the highest level of material we've ever showcased. So it's going to be all advanced material because, again, we know who we're up against here.
I was going to say, this is pretty much all expert level scenarios.
Exactly. Right? This will be all expert level scenarios. There won't be any, real low-hanging fruit or introductory material. It's kind of expected that everyone participating is very seasoned in the field. So, we're going to throw you right into the deep end with multiple parallel breaches, by the way. So one thing that we've previously done in OpenSOC is we run more linear breaches, right? Where there will be, a handful of intrusions that take place one after another. And so you don't have to necessarily worry too much about, conflicting or overlapping intrusions kind of throwing you off. Whereas in SocX, you absolutely will, because it's only going to be a single day. It's going to be an 8-hour window on the 4th of March. And in that 8-hour window, we're going to run as many as 10, maybe 12 highly complex intrusions in near parallel, right? Nearly, simultaneous to one another, which means not only you're going to have to know how to, effectively divide and conquer your team against a single intrusion, you're going to have to be able to effectively divide and conquer against multiple intrusions simultaneously. So now you're having to manage resources like you would almost hope to never have to in a real world situation. So it will be insane. Like I'll just be completely honest. It will be insane. I don't expect any team, I should be careful what I say here. I don't expect any team to necessarily finish all of the scenarios.
I'm just hearing a bunch of people right now go, challenge accepted.
and you know what? That's why I'm careful with my wording here, because I've been surprised. Like, especially at last DEF CON, we had teams show up and just, we can see the bar being raised every single year. And so we're bringing that knowledge, though, we're bringing that experience into SocX to make sure that we've got all sorts of new and unique material, right? So expect some offline forensics, expect some memory forensics, and it's going to be a really good time. We've also, we're bringing some lessons that we've learned in the past from OpenSOC events, utilizing Twitch for streaming. So we'll be streaming scoreboard information, some challenge statistics, performance of the teams. We'll be streaming a lot of that as well on Twitch to kind of continue to build this up as a spectator sport, because it really is becoming that, and we have a ton of fun with it.
Actually, Exiled had mentioned earlier in the episode, or maybe after, and maybe the timelines are getting a little bit weird here, but he had mentioned that it would be really cool if we could host, and talked about seeing if Detections could host it. I might participate, but it's a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to chat with you guys about anything like that. So yeah, that could be a lot of fun.
So is this going to work CTF style, like OpenSoc, kind of like put in your answers ish?
Yes, it'll be very similar in nature to the CTF kind of Jeopardy style CTF as OpenSoc. One major difference, though, for those of you that are familiar with OpenSoc, one major difference is expect a lot more parallelism in the challenges, whereas before it would kind of be a single thread that you'd be working down. So you could only answer a single question at a time. Whereas what we're going to do now is we're going to have essentially forks within each of the challenges. So maybe it's a single thread up till question 7, and then suddenly that forks another thread that another person can now run with. And so, if you have highly specialized people, say folks that are really good at network forensics, really good at host-based forensics, and they can grab that fork based on their specialty. Now suddenly you're gaining points at a higher rate than, say, a team that maybe is still working it in kind of a single-threaded manner, right? And so we're really putting a lot more emphasis on the team-based aspect of SocX, right? So that's
really stepping up the complexity significantly.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there will be a clear advantage to teams that know how to split across multiple threads and still keep the ball rolling forward. And there will be a communication component there, because while there will be multiple threads, there will be a requirement to communicate between those threads. So for instance, if I'm working thread A and you're working thread B, one of my challenges is going to rely on communicating with you. Hey, I'm supposed to ask you about what you saw in that PCAP so I can understand what I'm seeing on this host at this host level, right? And so we're really going to put a lot of emphasis on how well these teams work together. Hence why we're telling organizations, send your best, right? Send your best folks that work together very well, that communicate very well, and that are experienced in these areas.
Oh man, this is going to be so exciting. So on that, Whitney, how are you prepping the range for this? Because I assume this is going to be massive, and like this is so cool. But like, what's going on with the range to get prepped for this?
I mean, I think now, especially after DEF CON and Camp COVID, we're in the best shape we've ever been in as far as preparation goes to run this thing. So we're solid in that area. I'm stoked, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, and especially since we saw the turnout that we've gotten in the responses so far. It's going to be awesome.
I'm really hoping that this is the first year of many, because I think nobody has done this. Like, admittedly, like this has never been done, and it's super cool.
Yeah, 100%, Sean. So one of the things I think that we are most excited about with this is that, yes, no one's done it. And the other thing that we're super adamant about is we have no product bias, right? You know that about us.
Sure.
We're a very pro open source organization, and so OpenSoc and our network defense range have always been heavily centered around open source solutions, because I don't necessarily think that it's advantageous to the industry as a whole to have something like this that's so heavily focused around, say, a paid product, right? So that's how we sort of try to differentiate ourselves from, don't get me wrong, some of the other really, really awesome CTFs that are out there, right? Like Splunk's Boss of the SOC.
Boss of the SOC is great.
Yeah, Boss of the SOC is fantastic, right? And so, we're not necessarily trying to one up, the Boss of the SOC folks, but this competition is one that says, hey, there's no pay to play in any way, shape, or form, right? Like there's no tool or solution that, this is heavily based on that you'd have to go and then buy. Everything that we run is something that you could go and stand up at your organization next week.
I think what I like a lot is the why, and it's not because it's not about the tool, right? Like what you're trying to do is what we try to do every week. You're trying to put a spotlight on the operators, and you're trying to bring them some recognition, which I mean is pretty much anybody who's ever been in a SOC knows more often than not, they don't ever get anywhere near the recognition that they're supposed to. And I think that's something that's so genuinely exciting to me, not only like at an open sock level, but to do it like at a corporate level and to be able to provide that spotlight and that friendly competition and that stuff from a corporate level is so freaking cool, man.
100%. So, and we, that's literally part of our sort of mission statement on why we came up with this idea, is that we wanted to both give participants that limelight, allowing them to kind of earn some ranking and some prestige with their peers, being able to showcase their skills and also gain additional experience, right? Because I expect that even sending your best, guess what? Your folks are going to come out of this with some things they maybe have never done or seen before, right? Even your sharpest folks are going to come away with this with new experience. But the other side of it is, let's pay some credit to the companies that are putting the resources into these teams, right? I love to brag on companies that I feel value people over technology, right? Instead of throwing,
that might be why we keep bringing y'all back on.
You know what I mean? And it's clear though. It's clear when there's organizations that value people over solutions, right? Thinking they can't just buy their way out of these security problems without having, phenomenal folks on these teams. And so that's something I think is going to be evident in the teams that participate in SocX, is you're going to see which organizations are the ones that are taking the best care of their people. And I think that's going to be a hiring tool in a lot of ways. You have a company that says, hey, look, we're Verizon or we're Pepsi or we're the Air Force, and look how well we invest in our people, right? That we send them to SocX and they do phenomenal things. So that's something else I think is going to be really cool.
It's one more step towards pushing away from that tool-based, unexperienced individual in SOC and moving towards what SOC should be from the start, which has basically been my mission statement across the industry. So I love working with you guys and talking to other people who are trying to do the same thing, because it's such an important job that gets so little credit and respect. So exciting. So to wrap up, any advice that you can give to people who might be participating? What should they study? What should they look into? Any tools that they should be familiar with? Stuff like that.
Yeah, sure, Sean. So I would obviously say anyone that wants to participate in SocX, it would be really wise to go back and research a little bit about the history of OpenSoc. If you go and check out our YouTube channel for Recon Infosec, we've got a lot of great videos posted from historical walkthroughs and things like that. Now, just
you can
something.
Also listen to the Ghost Recon episode of Detections. Wink, wink.
There it is. That's right. Yep. There was even a detections episode on OpenSoc, and so I would recommend that as a solid foundation to get an idea for this environment that we run, our network defense range, and that would definitely help give you an idea of what to expect. Just keep in mind that this is going to be more intense than any OpenSoc competition we've ever hosted, and then also just general awareness of threat hunting concepts. Dusting off those digital forensics tools and techniques that you may not use as often. Being super familiar with the tools that I will say this. We have not publicly released the tool list for SocX yet, but it will be very closely based on the same tool stack we use in OpenSoc, which most folks are probably familiar with. The only thing I'm going to say is the reason we haven't fully published that list is because it is subject to change. We will publish a final list about a month out, so expect to see that kind of early February at the latest. But just to kind of give you a general idea, most of the tools that we run are based on the Elastic stack. So if you're familiar with Lucene syntax, Elastic search queries and things like that, as most folks know, we're heavily based on Moloch, and I don't see that changing anytime in the near future because there's just nothing else out there like it. OS Query, Velociraptor, these are all great tools to become familiar with. Sysmon, right? Not every organization has the benefit of using Sysmon in their environment, but I would tell you that we do, and it's a differentiator. So getting familiar with some of these things can definitely give you a leg up.
Cool. Whitney, any advice?
I was unmuted. I will say, I think we've left out not a key part of this, but one of the most fun parts of this, I think, and that might be the trophy at the end.
Oh, yeah. There is a really awesome trophy at the end.
Yeah. So we've got a picture of it on the website now, but that's something we've never done. But as always, we'll be doing the swag thing that we've always done. But I think the trophy is going to take it up a notch for this event, definitely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And we will link to the website as well. So with that, I want to say, Eric, Whitney, thank you so much for your time. If there's any last minute things that you want to pop before we go back, now's the time.
Nope, Sean. Hey, again, thanks again for having us on the Detections podcast, and we love any opportunity we have to come and share this stuff with you folks.
For sure. Now with that, back to the studio. Hopefully that worked, and like it was super cool, and everything sounded amazing.
Yeah, and not like one of the shitty memes where you can tell that it's a really bad cut and paste job.
Well, since we literally did tell people we were cut and pasting, hopefully that'll be okay. But genuinely, I'm very excited about this thing, and about like doing the SOC World Champions. Like, it's just so exciting, and I'm very excited to hopefully hear Eric talk about it and not have to fill the time myself.
Yeah, that is the thing that shows just how sexy Blue Team is.
Oh my god, yeah. So
I mean, like even looking at the page, like the work that they put into the page, it's a pretty sexy looking page.
And that trophy.
Yeah.
I never won a trophy. My entire career, I've never gotten a trophy. We should make Detections participation trophies just so I can have a trophy.
Oh, look at that.
I mean, we got to do the coins first, so that's on the
we really
list
do
later.
need to do a coin.
Look at you living in the 21st century. Participation trophies. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Don't do
I mean, my award can be for unnecessarily long-winded. Most unnecessarily long-winded. That can be my award.
My award can be ridiculously loud.
Yeah. Look at BSD getting into self-deprecating humor. I'm rubbing off on him.
We're having a bad influence on him because I was just going to say BSD would definitely get the trophy for that thing which makes Detections the good thing in life.
Hey man, I'm cool with him getting into self-deprecating humor. Don't you take that away from me.
And like from what we talk about on Discord, if I have to pick one for myself, it's going to be the entertaining asshole.
Fair. So, topic tonight.
Wait, it's only 15% of a topic though, right?
It's really only about 50 because there's just not a lot to talk about with it. But it just kind of made me go, huh? What? Really?
We may have foreshadowed the topic throughout the entire episode thus far.
Yeah, so we're going to get a little bit political. During a Trump campaign rally, Trump came out and said, and I wonder, maybe we'll try to splice the clip in here. Or maybe not. It really depends. It might be cool if we tried to do a little bit of that stuff. And since this is an anniversary, I'm willing to do a little bit of work. But just in case it doesn't make it, and he basically said that hacking doesn't happen. In order to be a hacker, you have to have 197 IQ and 15% of a person's password. I would also like to point out that Trump's Twitter has been hacked potentially 2 times recently.
Yeah,
once in 2016 when his password was "you're fired," and once potentially like after he made this statement where his password was MAGA 2020 with no dual
with an exclamation point. It was MAGA 2020 with an exclamation
That's not
point.
confirmed yet. Like I haven't read like that because Twitter has said like we did not see this happen, but like a researcher said it happened and said the Secret Service thanked him. So like totally not 100% confirmed yet, but
true or not, it's not beyond the realm of reasonable possibility that that's actually the true.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to talk about is, does it really take 197 IQ and 15% of a password to be a hacker? And we thought the funnest way to do that would be just to share some stories about the simplest working breaches that we've done or that we've seen or been responsible for or any of that stuff.
Without necessarily admitting to guilt.
Correct. Or without going too far into it. So, I mean, Resident Red Teamer, would you like to start?
Mine is so simple and stupid it hurts. and this is how far as when you hear me talk about it, I just go back as far as walking up to an open machine, firing up an old session of net meeting.
Hell yeah.
which allowed me to create a user account for myself and being able to access a Windows 2000 server.
Ow, man. Now my neck's sore and you weren't kidding. That really did hurt.
Yes. Dun-dun.
So like I feel like I always go back to just the general prevalence of phishing. And I mean I could be specific and talk about literal login pages for like your company needs you to reset your password, and then you click on it and it looks like something directly out of the fucking 1990s that in no way, shape, or form looks like your company. And like people fall for that shit. But also like falling for logins to services you don't even have. Because like that happens too. Here's a Microsoft login page. Your company needs you to reset your Office 365 credentials, and you don't use 365.
Or shipping. You got a package from DHL,
Ooh.
but I live in the US and we don't have DHL here.
Or better yet, man.
Anymore.
The IRS has just called today, and we're going to put you in jail unless you provide all of your information. I'm trying to get as close to a robot voice as I can. I can't do it like Woodoo, but
yeah.
And we're going to put you in jail if you don't call us immediately and provide us all your credit card information. Fuck, my grandma almost got hit when somebody called her once and was like, your grandson was in an accident, or someone close to you was in an accident and they need money. And then she literally, like, this is how bad it is, right? Like, she went to the bank to do the money order and the bank said no. Then she called me. She's like, well, it didn't sound like you when they let me talk to you, but like they did say that you were pretty screwed up and like, you know, hurt. So it made sense. I'm like, you should probably call me first next time, Grandma.
Mm-hmm. Or your son's Nintendo Switch is ready for repair.
Oh.
Uh-oh, I'm giving away secrets.
And I would like to be very clear that literally every single one of these things absolutely requires you to have a 197 IQ to work it out.
Yeah.
The only reason why we can talk about it so easily is because combined we have an IQ of over 9,000 here on Detections.
Dun, dun. The secret's out.
Yeah, except the decimal point is before the 9, not after.
Correct. 0.9 over 0.9,000.
Yes.
I don't know. I just couldn't resist the Dragon Ball Z joke.
So I have 3 specific things that I can talk about. One is a story that may or may not have happened due from a friend of we talk about default usernames and passwords and changing default usernames and passwords. Well, I don't know how many people have been at the coffee shop and is like, I'm going to log into the coffee shop's router. Look, default username and password. Look, I'm in. I'm changing the password and giving myself the best quality of service on their wireless network. Because I need to torrent or stream on a public access.
Sure. You know the scary thing about this?
It's
like, legitimately, like the scary thing about this, there's a group of people out there who will believe that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably not a small group of people who are now considering basically everybody in this industry demonized and unbelievably smart. And like, if the world wants to really consider me smarter than Albert Einstein, like, I don't know that I'm going to complain about that, but it's really not an accurate depiction. Like, I like to think that I'm clever at best.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, especially with the second story here. This was done with permission. I was in school. A friend of a friend, his dad forgot the password to his laptop and gave it to his son, so the friend of a friend. And the friend wanted some help getting access to the system. I'm like, well, just, use one of the admin tools and reset the password. He's like, no, I want to use it as an opportunity to have fun with some of the password cracking tools. So simply just downloaded Offcrack and ran Offcrack, and the password for the system was DAD, D-A-D.
Nice.
So again, 197 IQ to download software to crack a password that's 3 letters long.
Now, admittedly, we have made it a lot harder because back in the 90s, you could save a wallpaper and it could infect your entire computer when you added it as your wallpaper. Right?
Yes, but we did talk about the cursed Android wallpapers, so that kind of is
that's
still a
true.
thing.
But we have made it harder, like, two-factor authentication, password managers. We have done a lot to make it harder for attackers.
And for Windows, not with the LAN manager, not
Windows
storing
still sucks.
not storing passwords that are less than 14 characters in 2 chunks that are 7 characters or less.
Oh, by the way, I have to tell a why Windows sucks story real quick. I'm going to completely divert here to tell this story. So, because I'm so frustrated about it. So, over the weekend, both my iMac and my Windows box had permissions problems. All right. Basically, on the iMac, I couldn't load any settings panes, and on my Windows box, I couldn't open the start menu, load settings. I could use search, but I couldn't launch anything from search. Kind of a weird fucking issue. So, Windows, I look up a bunch of stuff. I run a bunch of PowerShell campaigns. I do a disk fix. I get on the phone with Microsoft. Microsoft gives me a fix tool. All this crap to try to fix this problem, including like calling them. And then they go, well, it's very important that we fix this for you right now. They send me to a line that says, we only work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And I was like, damn. Ultimately, what ended up happening is I went into like system restore, was going to restore from backup. That black screened and failed. And upon that reboot, it worked again.
Rough.
Thereby continuing the fact that Windows makes absolutely no fucking sense and is a piece of crap. Anybody want to know what I did on my Mac?
What did you do?
I took the settings P list, copied it to my desktop, or moved it to my desktop, restarted, which remade that P list, and everything worked.
Mm-hmm.
That's how an operating system's supposed to work.
Well, you can thank BSD.
BSD for that, I know. I knew where you're going with that, but I'm just saying, like, man, Windows needs a restructure. It really does, because registry and just the years upon years of legacy crap makes it so complicated to do anything with that system. And I just hate it with a burning passion for that reason.
Wow, you make it sound like Brussels sprouts. Dun-dun!
I mean, it's kind of like that for me. Like, it's a necessary evil for gaming for me. But even that, if I can play a game on my Mac, I do, rather than on the Windows box. I just don't like Windows because of shit like that. I thought I was going to have to spend the entire weekend resetting everything and basically reinstalling everything because it was such a stupid problem that apparently people have been having from 2016 and it still isn't fixed.
Jeez.
Anyway.
You know what? I got to clap it up for you because that is some serious hatred for an operating system. That is real. Did you hear what he just said? He said, if I could game on a Mac, I would.
I mean, I do game on my Mac. I have a fucking really good video card in my iMac.
The water next to me turned into seawater because so much salt was coming out of him from the response.
Talk about bleeding blue. Ooh.
I genuinely built my hatred for Windows when I was doing Windows malware analysis almost every day in IR. And, like, it just hasn't gone away. Like, it's never really gone away.
We see.
Anyway.
So yeah, I think looking at the time here, we should get onto our last normal segment.
You're right. We should.
And I think we're gonna have some fun with it, aren't we, tonight? BSD?
What are we gonna call it tonight? We still haven't come up with a name.
No, we haven't come up with a name. The days.
The days of our attacks? Is that where you're going with that?
I was going to say,
bad.
and like sands through the hourglass, this is the days of the attack.
No, that sounds like a bad soap opera. But, like, let's run with that for tonight anyway. Take it away, BSD.
How about days of destruction with a low IQ of 5?
Ooh, good pull on the topic. Take it away, man.
So today, like I said, we were talking about, like our simple hacks and everything else, and as you were saying earlier, how blue teamers have made it harder for like attackers and red teamers to, gain access to data. One of the hacks that I'm going to talk about that I've actually done is dealing with data exfiltration, but using the DNS protocol. Dun-dun.
What?
Yes.
I thought we only did lookup and responses on DNS.
What? That's what they want you to believe.
I thought Firefox took over DNS with DNS over HTTPS, which is a whole nother topic for another
My
day.
skin just crawled.
But how many people actually use that? Let's be real. So, apparently, so again, so with this particular situation, I was able to extract just pretty much some interesting zip files using DNS data exfiltration. So again, I used it just this is several engagements ago, but again, what I wound up doing was actually registering like a fake, registering like a domain name, and actually setting that like domain name. And I'm only calling it that domain name because I can't give away the customer I did it on.
You could probably just use like the default like example.com or evil.domain.
You know what? I'm just going to say bandit.com. Let's go. So, because I felt like a bandit when it happened. So I registered like bandit.com, and then I set bandit.com name server to a server that I own on my machine. So then, again, I sent some pretty interesting, let's just say, an interesting payload that sends a password as a subdomain to bandit.com. I'm just going to use that as an example. So then with that request, with the password, that was going to be routed back to my server, along with, you know, anything else that I can actually like ravage from that particular server. So a specific tool, and I'll put the tool out there that I actually use, and anyone that's listening can check it out and play around with it if they want. It's called DN Steal. So what DN Steal does, it actually sets up a fake DNS server, and it allows you to like kind of like sneak into like a network, and pretty much as the name it suggests. So it's based on DNS. It works on port 53, and I used it to actually extract data from I'll just say from the customer after pretty much just setting up the connection, and multiple files I was able to actually extract using that particular tool, which was awesome about it as well with DNS Steal. With DNS Steal, that I liked about it was the fact that it supported gzip file compression. So you can actually manage the size of the packets that carries the data over the network to reduce any type of suspicion. So that was pretty cool. And that was how I was able to actually exfiltrate data using that particular method through DNS. So when they say blue team is sexy, I say DNS is sexy. And I mean,
I've never really thought of DNS as sexy.
I do. I mean, attackers.
DNS has always been like an IRS agent for me.
But what makes DNS sexy for attackers, because again, DNS was never designed to carry files. It was never designed to do that. So the mere fact that you can actually do pretty much transfer files through DNS is nothing short but amazing. And if an attacker has that route, they're going to take it every time. Now, the detection. Hold
on. Before you jump into that, Understudy, do you want to throw something out there, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
What do I want to throw something out there about?
On the detection, how would you go about detecting something like that?
I was going to let you run with that, man.
Oh,
y'all talked about it before while I was still asleep.
So, a very common thing to check for any DNS exfiltration, aside from watching the subdomains, is looking for a high number of record requests over short time frames. And it can be specific records like pointer records, or quad A records. Sometimes even like the next domains will show up there. Depends on how it's configured. It could round robin through the records, but usually because the data itself is sent out as one stream, they come out as a rapid fire shot of lots of requests over short time frames.
Nice. I like it.
And it does a lot. And the cool thing about that is it doesn't matter what the destination domain is.
Right. What about the would you look at the processes that like are, would you focus on the processes that
I mean, they only get one detection an episode.
Well,
That's true.
that's true, too.
It's one detection episode. Otherwise, like, we will run out again.
Exactly.
This is true.
So, with that, BSD, do you want to take us out? And again, lastly, one more time, all of you, like, thank you all so much. Like, this has just been such a fun ride, and it's been so cool that, like, people are actually interested in listening to us ramble about shit. So, from the depths of my heart, thank you to everyone who listens, every guest who has been on, everyone who has supported us on Patreon, and both of you two. Like, this has been a fun ride so far. Take us out.
Yes, and it's hard to follow that up, so I'm just going to say one thing. Well, a couple of things. Let's all go forth and find badness. Ow! Yip, yip!